Well, first I have to say what a delight. Martha's determination and inspiration, I'm sure, attracted all of you here tonight. I first met Martha at BNI, and of course a road trip to Ottawa to go to a conference that was sponsored by Laura Tucker of Free Your Inner Guru. We really bonded over that road trip, and her wisdom and curiosity got the better of me. I thought, I'm going to know this woman for the rest of my life. And when we discovered that my father had spoken to Shellback's club, where her father had been the president, we kind of felt like, you know, faux cousins or something. So, well, it did take a while for Martha to reveal to me that she had been an Olympian. And I'm excited to hear the whole story here tonight. So welcome, Martha, to the stage. Thank you.
So, when I was in my teens and 20s, I rarely sailed with women. Primarily because there were very few women who wanted to compete at the level that I wanted to sail at. Women's sailing events were only put in the Olympics in 1988. So when I was growing up, there was not a lot of motivation for women to pursue this path of excellence. So I sailed mostly with men and on male teams. So it really is in my nature to be helpful and to help other people achieve, which really translates into the role that I play on the sailboat, which is that of crew. That means that I don't steer the boat, but I do pretty much everything else. Because I was known for other teams being successful and other athletes being successful, I was often overlooked for being on the team, but rather asked to organize the fundraisers or the regattas, and not to sail when often I had more talent and experience of most of those who were competing. However, even though once on a team, I was often the first to be dropped. When pressure was applied to get an expert or a rock star or a friend on board, because it was easier to kick the girl off than it was to stand up to their buddies who were putting on the pressure. The last time that I was removed from an all-male team, I had spent about 2 months with the less experienced members of the crew, helping to elevate their performance for a major championships that was coming up. 3 days before that regatta, the owner called me and said I could take the weekend off because they had brought up a rock star, an expert from the US, to sail in my place. So I was frustrated and angry, and if you know me when I'm frustrated and angry, it's not pretty. And I was just tired of these feelings of being rejected and not valued for what I contributed to the team. I decided I'd had enough, and that I wanted to have if I wanted to have a team that appreciated what I had to offer, I had to become the leader and create a team who wanted the same things that I did. Those things were to achieve, to learn, and most of all, have fun. So I was making this empowering decision as I was stomping along a cobblestone path on Toronto Island, crying, angry, and I bumped into another woman sailor who had this similar drive to mine. And she said to me, why don't you come sail with me and my group of my friends, and we'll just have some fun. Well, together, we put together a team of women who competed against the all-male teams, and not only did we have a lot of fun, we won. And we won a lot. We had to work a little harder to perfect some of our maneuvers to overcome any differences in strength, but through hard work and perseverance, we prevailed. Oh, and that all-guy team that kicked me off were last in that regatta with the roster. I am truly inspired by the pursuit of excellence. And maybe it was because I grew up with a father who was a 2-time Olympian, a mother who was in the Canadian Open Golf, an aunt who was a professor of the U of T. Both my mom and my aunt are here. Also, 70% of the Canadian Olympic sailing team every Olympics comes from my sailing club. Olympians were my coaches, my neighbors, and my friends. But even though I competed at a very high recreational level, my role as helper and daughter kept my Olympic dream in the background. In sailing, the types of boats used in the Olympics change on occasion to address technology or change in popularity or some other reason. But just before the 2000 Olympic Games in Sydney, Australia, the type of boat that I was sailing was named an Olympic class for the next Games in 2004. I was in Sydney as my role as a helper, working at the VIP hospitality program. But at the end of the regatta, I was standing on the dock watching the Canadian sailing team sail in on the final day. This team included people I had coached, people I had sailed with, people I'd sailed against, and many who I had beaten. I decided there on the dock that this was my time. I was not going to be a spectator anymore. No more watching anyone else. It was time to pull that Olympic dream out of the back of my mind and put it into action. But if it was going to happen, I had to take charge and make it happen. When you start an Olympic campaign, you know that it's going to be at least a 4-year commitment, if not 8+. You make the choice to become a little better every day just to be able to take a shot at qualifying for the Olympics. There are no guarantees. Today, everyone is looking for immediate results. And if they don't get immediate results, they give up, or they quit, or they look to blame somebody else. When you have big dreams or goals in life or in business, why should it be any different than an Olympic journey? It's about doing something every day that makes you a little bit better to get you a little bit closer to that goal, and pure perseverance and effort pay off. Through my Olympic journey, there were lots of ups and downs. I was 32 when I was standing on that dock in Sydney, and 40 when we qualified to represent Canada at the 2008 Beijing Olympic Games. We didn't qualify for 2004, which was the initial goal. And if you ever had to push the reset button on a dream, it took a lot of soul searching to keep going for 2008. Even though I had the experience of the previous 4 years, my teammates decided not to go forward. Brand new, who'd never sailed the boat before, who'd never had this international experience before. I had lots of nagging voices in my head that could have held me back. One was the evaluation of my first sailing instructor when I was 10. She said, "Martha is a pushy airhead and will never amount to anything in sailing." Yeah, and it was a woman. I was considering what to do. And I bumped into a friend who was a 2-time Olympian. He asked me if I was going to continue. I said I didn't know. He counseled me that if I was only thinking about the 2 weeks of the games, then it was not worth it. But if I loved the process, if I was passionate about the training and becoming a little bit better every day, then definitely go for it. Armed with that advice, my path was set for the next 4 years. I decided to persevere and continue to pursue the dream through 2008. This armor was very important, since through this entire process, I met many objections from all sorts of people, including senior bank executives, other sailors, people I worked with, etc., etc. I was told, "You only did well because you sailed with your father." And then came all the twos. You're too tall, you're too short, you're too fat, you're too thin, you're too old, you're too whatever. After a while, I realized that all of these twos that people were trying to give me were actually the excuses that were holding them back from achieving their dreams and goals. It had absolutely nothing to do with me. You might ask, why would you put yourself through this? With all of the uncertainty and risk of not even qualifying. Well, on that day on the dock in Australia, I kept saying to myself, what if? What if? What if? I did not want to live with the regret I saw in so many others of not taking the opportunity and pursuing the dream. As it turned out, we did qualify for the Olympics in 2008. And not only did we qualify, but after the first day of competition, we were the top performers of the Canadian Olympic team, and even a highlight on CBC. Now, sailing is never on TV in Canada. So what we proved to everyone who said all the twos, that they don't matter. If you can learn anything from my story, it's to give all those twos back to the people who are trying to give them to you, whether it's in business, career, or achieving a personal goal, and just embrace this Olympic spirit of becoming a little better every day. Now, when I build teams, I look for people who are also inspired to become better every day. I surround myself with those like my sailing teams who like to achieve, learn, and want to have fun. Because when everyone on the team is in alignment and pulling together, it's smooth sailing. It is light and everyone is lifted. If we are all working together, everyone wins. And as the saying goes, a rising tide lifts all boats.